What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special edition on the Tapped Out Studios Tapped In Indie podcast. Today we're joined. We got a massive show coming this Friday, so I had to reach out to friend of the show, QT Marshall. First of all, welcome to the show.
How's it going? Good to be here. I'm excited. Big week.
Huge week for you guys, man. Look, we just full disclosure, we're recording on a Tuesday. I was just at your big show, that kind of the go home show Monday in Watkinsville.
Yeah.
Obviously, the go home show to the massive show. Could we argue? And I'm going to ask you, you might be a little biased in this answer. Biggest show of the summer in Georgia in indie wrestling?
I think so. I mean, that was the goal. Whether or not, I don't know, right? I mean, I don't follow a lot of the other companies and how well they draw and all this stuff, but I think, like, obviously my former business partner, Cody Rhodes, and they went all in on themselves in Chicago, and it transformed wrestling. I kind of think and hope that other independent companies see what we were able to do, and they get excited by it. It motivates everybody to just like do the best they possibly can, right? And it's a huge chance that we're taking, but at the end of the day, I think it's worth it. All the athletes that we have at One Fall, they work hard every weekend. We run probably more shows than anybody. I don't know for sure, but I think it's safe to say if we're running every week, we're probably running more shows than everybody, and they're
We
not
do.
in one specific area. So, we're all over the place. So I feel like this is a huge thing that these guys and girls can look forward to. And hopefully we can do it once a year. And it's kind of like they're all in, right? They're a culmination of all their hard work. And originally we never really did storylines. It's just wrestling. But I felt, okay, we're probably going to have to do some storylines to get some people to show up at this event. I'm going to call in every favor I possibly can for my AEW Ring of Honor connections and stuff like that. And luminaries, right? Center stage luminaries. I mean, you got Glacier, you got Tony Schiavone. It's pretty exciting. I mean, I wrestled in center stage when Ring of Honor was there a couple times, and I've always wanted to run there. It just never happened. And it was like, you know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We got the date. We just gotta go big or go home. So we'll see how it goes. I think we're on pace to do all right. We won't lose that much money, so that's a good thing. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's not about that. I mean, the rewards are not monetary. Let's put it that way. At least I don't believe so. But at the same time, it's a great way to get our name out there and get our brand out there, brand awareness, and kind of show people what we're willing to do and what we're ready to do. So I'm excited for it. I mean, looking forward. We're only a couple days away.
I mean, you guys are really young. I mean, we know the history. We'll get into that maybe a little bit. But like I said, to take an opportunity like this, take a big swing, at center stage, the history that it holds in Atlanta, like you talked about, all those kind of things. Before we get started, we want to go ahead at the beginning. Let's get this stuff out of the way. 1fwlive.com. That's where you can get your tickets. You want to buy your tickets because, as you mentioned, they're already kind of starting to pick up pace. I always tell people that that's kind of seems to be the case. The week of the event, things kind of pick up and a lot of walk up business. I mean, you know that from this big event you guys just had.
Sure. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Massive spikes at the end, right?
Yeah.
Um, Doors are going to open at 5:30 for the VIP. If I get anything wrong here, correct me.
Got it.
6:30 p.m. is the regular. The doors open for the regular attendees, and
Mhm.
bells at 7:30. And I promise you, you want to be there at 7:30. I've gone to enough One Fall shows to know they start on time.
Yeah.
That's not like most indie promotions. They actually
Yeah.
start on time, and usually there's something right out of the gate that you don't want to miss. So be there in your seat by 7:30. That's all I'm going to tell you there. We'll go down the card in a minute, but I want to jump around to some of the questions. We got some questions, and I felt like it would kind of help you, kind of piece away at some of this stuff. The first one I wanted to ask you was Travis from East Point. It says, QT, when did the idea first hit you to run Summer Stage, and how long has it been kind of in the works before you pulled the trigger?
I think Teal and I, when we were doing Turnbuckle, yeah, I always had the idea to run a bigger show, right? Because of course, it's no secret. Like I said, Cody, when they went all in, it inspired me to always want to do something big like that and take a chance. And when I went back to AEW, it was something that I spoke to Tony about that I really have a strong feeling about what I want to do outside of AEW. I'm willing to, not wrestle as much and not focus on in-ring stuff at AEW as long as I can, get my fix on the side. And, so that was something we spoke about. It's a little harder with the turnbuckle with AEW and WWE and ID and all this other stuff. So we did like a tour. We figured, hey, we'll do this relaunch tour. We'll see how long we can get it going, and then we'll figure it out from there. And it was just so we both. It's funny. We both basically came up with the name around the same time. We were typing it to each other, and it was like, oh, that's perfect. So we had this idea, and then I said, well, I'll just switch it over to One Fall. That's the brand that I originally had before I partnered with Cody. And we did the Nightmare Factory. We had the One Fall Power Factory. Plus, we had One Fall Wrestling, and it was like, I always wanted to do other stuff. I mean, we did a pilot in Cornelia in 2017, right? So, like, I've always had this vision. It's just a matter of making it come to life and timing more than anything, and money, timing, money, and all the pieces have to fall into play at the same time. So we had this idea, and once I put the deposit down on the building, there was really no turning back. So it was like, hey, well, we're going to do it regardless, and obviously, Teal's been great about it. And, hopefully she shows up and we could make something happen. Who knows? That, like I said, I always say this about our shows: under promise and over deliver. And that's all I'll say about that.
Well, we're going to kind of bounce between questions in the card because there's some questions that kind of tie in. Let's go ahead and get the big one. Obviously, I'm going to save the main event. I'm going to save that one because I really want to add some of my personal notes to the main event.
Sure.
Me personally, I consider the main event, by the way, the steel cage match. I'm just a massive assumption.
That will be the main event for sure. And here's why: 1, cage match; 2, world, the heavyweight title; 3, it's not about me. It's not about Billy Gunn. You know what I mean? This is exactly what these shows are for. They are for the young up and coming talent that are training to make it to the next level to be showcased. Yes, we do need us to help maybe. And I say us, I don't mean me. I mean Billy and the MJFs and the Schiavones, but that's independent wrestling 101, right? You bring a former star in, usually it used to be former WWF star back in the day. You bring them in, the Kamalas, the Doink the Clowns, or whatever it is, Greg Valentine's, you get them in the door to draw a fan base, and then you get the fans to get hooked on these younger up and coming talents. And that's what I feel we've been really good at doing is using our partnerships with these other wrestlers and, my personal relationships with so many wrestlers that I've helped over the years to whether it's land a job in AEW or, I've wrestled with them or something. And so many of them have been so gracious to help out, right, and give back. And that's a lot of people say they want to give back and no one really does it. So I've really been very, like straightforward about that. Is like they need to be the main event, right? And as much as originally I was like, I don't know, I don't want to go out there with Billy and all these other guys, and then the fans think it's over and they don't know these other guys. But I think we've figured out a way to draw our normal fans, our casual fans that we have from all these other cities that we run, to see who these guys are, to fall in love with these guys or hate them, and they want to see this match as well. So it will definitely be the main event.
And hey, we're there. Let's just keep rolling with it because I want to say, I think, look, I try to come to as many of the One Fall shows as I can,
Sure,
if possible. And my statement of that is, like, just last night, the reaction they got, like, you clearly, like, can stand there objectively and go, this is what the people are invested in. This is the story.
Sure.
And whether it was McDonough, whether it's Watkinsville, it's been the story, the chase, and so we're finally going to get it, in a steel cage. It kind of said it perfect. I think you're not giving them that spot. I feel like in hindsight, they earned that spot over the last few months building that story. It was clearly, I jokingly say, the A story, like that's the story that everybody's
100%.
paying to see.
Yeah.
Ilya Drago and, Brady Booker, the One Fall. And I do agree with the comment of it is your main, it is your title. Like that's,
Sure.
It should be rare exceptions, but it should be your main event. And it was just, we made jokes about shockingly the main event is about their title and not something else, like some
Right.
attraction, you know.
Yeah, no, no,
Um,
no. I want to go on early, so this way I could help produce and watch. I want to see what they do. I'm excited. Like I said, this is a huge spot for them. You know what I mean? And I mean, fortunately, I've been fortunate enough to wrestle on pay per view and in front of large crowds. And Billy, obviously, his resume speaks for itself. So it's like, let's I think we're gonna go pretty early. Honestly, get it out of the way.
Look, what's the old saying is if you're not main eventing, just go on first and get it
Yeah,
out of the
yeah. I
way.
wish. Unfortunately, I have a couple people that have to fly out right away.
I,
So I think they're, but the card that we've positioned it now, I think everything's going to be really good, and I'm sure the matches will be great. And like I said, we're going to try our best. We'll do a pre-show match as well, like probably a Battle Royal, get as many of those kids on as possible. Um, and then obviously the Casino Gauntlet, like Tony's idea. So yeah, I mean, yeah, they've earned it. Let's put it that way.
and you brought up the battle royal. We'll get to all of these as we kind of go through
Yeah,
them. But the one obviously I was going to ask you for, and like I'm not, we'll come back. We'll probably end up coming back to this steel cage match because I think there's a lot to be said for the two young men that are in that match. I think they're stars in the making. We'll get to that in a minute. But where I was going is let's just get your match out of the way.
sure.
You and the Gun Club versus the Frat House. Again, very well done over the last several months. By the way, I don't blame you having issues with one Jack Jameson. I've had a run in with him over in the past
Yeah,
myself.
yeah, yeah. He's a piece of work.
Yeah, piece of something. But yeah,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like obviously I love teaming with Billy, Austin, Colton. I mean, Colton the other night on Collision, something happened to his knee. Not really sure. We're hoping he's still going to be there. If he's not there, we'll figure it out like we always do. But yeah, I mean, we thought it's funny, right? Preston Vance trained at One Fall Power Factory. So did Jack Jameson. So did Cole Carter, but he trained at the Nightmare Factory after he was at NXT. So it's 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 pretty funny to kind of see all of this, wrap around, come full circle. So, and I think they have a good little act. They really do. It's fun. I think anyone that has ever watched professional wrestling can see them. They understand it right away. So yeah, 4-on-4. Hopefully I get my payback. I mean, I beat Griff last night, Monday night in Watkinsville, but they obviously got the better of me afterwards. So, hopefully we get our payback on Friday.
Could be. You brought up great wrestling. Sleeper match potentially. I've actually had multiple people. Matt Griffin and I were having a conversation about that, and he absolutely is interested in Jay Lethal, Adam Priest. He's like easily could be the match of the night.
Yeah,
from a wrestling perspective.
they'll go on first, 7:30. We'll get them in and out, and I'm sure they'll tear it up. I mean, Lethal, one of my favorite opponents ever. Priest, actually, another one. So, yeah, I was excited. That was actually something I spoke to Tony about, and Tony was like, that would be a great match. He's really good at putting two people together and knowing that they can gel. And I spoke to Jay, and so yeah, I'm excited for that one. I thought Matt was going to be in Adam's corner, but he's got his own show that night. He was like, hey, if I could ever do something with Adam, I'm like, yeah, man, you got your own show though. Cancel your show. Tell all your people to come to our show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, but yeah, it should be a good one. He's got Sanjay in his corner. Jay Lethal does. So plus Satnam will be there. I don't know where. You never know what's going to happen. So I'm curious to see. I feel like that's going to be one of those let's go Lethal, let's go Priest type deals, right? So we'll see. I bet it'll be a great way to kick off the night for sure.
And it's going to be a tough one to follow.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
rest of the night, that'll be tough. I almost don't want to be second then, if that's the
Sure,
case.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
Also, look, hey, you talked about it. It's the kids, that come through the promotion that have worked really hard, that are doing their best. Sid Ellington, Kiran Gray. This thing has literally been a year. Like I
Yeah.
remember this thing it's probably over a year at this point, and they're finally gonna put this away in a coffin match. You got to have one stipulation match that's kind of out there, and this is it, right?
Sure.
But this match warrants it though. That's what's the great thing about it. It actually warrants it.
Yeah, the both of those guys came over to me through, believe it or not, through Darby Allen. They're very close with Darby, and I think they were living with him at the time. They both came and trained at the factory, and then I don't know what happened where they started. I don't know, maybe someone didn't wash the dishes or so. I don't know. All I know is that we've seen this feud now, and finally I said, "Hey, enough! Let's here. If there's one place to settle it, it'll be center stage. You know, Darby special, the Coffin match. If you're willing to do it, I think we can settle this score once and for all." They were okay with it, so yeah, let's get it done. And Sid is just somebody again like a Darby, not really scared of much. And Kiran, I mean, he's military. Kind of, I don't want to say he's crazy, but he's I've he's definitely a special type of guy in the wrestling world. So I'm excited to see what they do. There are little regulations I've told them, try not to, massacre each other and stuff like that. But we do need to have a winner, and I also don't want to send anyone to the hospital either. But let's just have the best match you possibly can. So they're excited for it. I'm excited for it. I'm curious to see who's going to win. Hopefully the box is big enough the coffin's big enough to fit Kieran, because I think Sid, I don't know. I don't want to say, I can't tell yet because Kieran's just so dangerous.
He's
But
about as unhinged as they come. But like I said,
yeah, yeah, there you go. Unhinged is the word I was looking for.
yeah, yeah. And Sid, like you 100% have said, like he just seems like pain. He just keeps coming back. Saw a great match with him and Satnam, and he just wouldn't quit. He just kept going. And
Oh
yeah,
man.
but that one should be brutal.
Yeah.
The Fatal Four Way. Look, when you guys crowned your first men's champion, obviously the first heavyweight champion, everybody immediately goes into when's the women's championship coming?
Sure.
Well, here's your answer, folks. We're getting it. At Summer
Yeah.
Stage.
Yeah.
Robin Renegade, who will be accompanied by Charlotte, Hyena Hera, and Helica Riss and Isis Reed. Here's the crazy thing. Odds are when we're putting these kind of things together, usually there's a favorite. There isn't. Like this card is like loaded across where I could see easily any one of these winning this title.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I met Robin and Charlotte at my school, but like they were at center stage for Ring of Honor show in 2019. It was like my last day at Ring of Honor. I got a text from Cody, "Hey, come to my house. I want you to come work for us." And I was literally working at Ring of Honor backstage, but they were out there, like passing out flyers for one fall. Um, so that for me, I mean, it would be really cool to see Robin win. Obviously, Angelica was our first ever Nightmare Factory champion that we crowned at Turnbuckle. I think Hyena still is the champion now. Kiki, Isis, is a uh, young up and coming female that literally, I don't even think she's 18, to be honest. But the moment she turns 18, I believe that she won't be around on the independents for too long. Let's put it that way. She's got about 5 years, 4 years experience. She's like I said, she's got a lot of passion and drive, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm excited for it either way. Thanks to our partners over at Dalton Carpet One, we purchased all these new title belts. We have a new men's title, the heavyweight title. We have a new one. We have the women's title, and then I just got them all in the mail yesterday. And then obviously we have the breakout title, which will, if we go segue right into that, that'll be for that in that casino gauntlet. Which to me, the breakout title, what it is it's more than just the belt. It's what it represents. It's hopefully something that whoever has it, it's like right, like when someone won the NXT title, you knew that they were going to go to the main roster. That was
Right.
like the idea behind it, right? So it's like hopefully this breakout title does something for the champion to put more eyes on them, to help them in their career, and so on and so forth. So a lot of young guys in that one. Yeah, like I said, I don't know how it's going to turn out. Obviously the guy that Parker won number one last night, Vary Morales is number two. The earlier you're in, the better your chances are. Tony Khan had a great idea. It's really cool, and I don't know if he knows I'm doing it or not, but I'm stealing his idea. It gets a lot of
Explain the
people
rules
on.
because I've had a couple of people reach out and
Sure.
say, "Hey, get clarification on the rules."
So it's one fall, pin or submission, right? One fall, and that is it's every minute or so a new competitor comes in, and literally, I mean, the match could end with the first two competitors. So there's uh, the entire locker room is basically slotted in. Because if it goes on forever, it goes on forever. Like there's no time limit. So every minute or so someone else comes out. But if the match ends, it ends. So if you're number 7 and the match ends after number 6, you're out of luck. So it's literally luck of the draw. You know what I mean? So you want to get in early. That's why we did those qualifier matches Monday night, last night. So we'll see. And everyone, I told them, this is as legit as it comes. You are going to pick a number, and whatever number you get is your number, And so we'll see. Yeah, I'm excited for it. Like I said, I'm not really sure. I don't really have a favorite in that one. I know Satnam asked if he could be in it because he's still looking to break out as well. So hey, if he's in there, I mean, he might just kill everybody.
But again, to your point, he's got to get in early enough.
Got to get in early. Yeah.
Doesn't matter if he's 17 and he never
Right,
sees the
right.
light. Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was one of the first casino battle royals or casino gauntlets. Matt Seidel was like number 12, and it ended at number 11. And the poor guy was like backstage at the curtain, and the match ended. And it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like that's unfortunately the luck of the draw or bad luck of the draw.
So I just wanted to clarify that because somebody had asked me, well, why would you want to be number 1 or number 2
Sure.
When they were doing those matches, and kind of had to get into that. So
complete opposite of a normal Royal Rumble or Gauntlet. Complete opposite.
Right. Most of the time, you're like, I want to be 30, or I want to be at the end. Like, no, I can end early. So that's all the matches that I have. Anything else you want to surprise anybody with? Or
yeah. So the graphic might be out by the time this comes out, but the biggest thing that we try to do is collab. I've tried that since I started in Georgia. It doesn't work well in the local area for whatever reason, but it is what it is. I've always put it out there. I've always had a great relationship with Southern Honor and Dylan, obviously GPW as well. But Luke Gallows, Lariato Pro now. So like I try to collab as much as possible. So one of the things one of the places I work for obviously is Scott D'Amore, Maple Leaf Wrestling, which is a huge event that they run out in Canada. And then also I work for Kirk White's Big Time Wrestling, which is they've been around. They're having their 29th anniversary show in October. Aaron Solo is their champion. So I talked to everybody, and we're going to do a 3-way match for the Big Time Wrestling Championship. So it'll be the champion Aaron Solo will be defending against one half of the infantry from Ring of Honor and AEW, Carly Bravo, one of my students as well. And then against Mr. Push-Ups himself, Michael Allen Richard Clark, which Mark is, how that spells out. And they'll have a 3-way match for that title. And, I'm excited for it. Like I said, we just talked to our graphics guy, told him to throw some extra logos on there, give everyone a little bit of love. And like I said, we just timed it all out and we figured, okay, we could probably squeeze one more match on there to kind of, again, I love to collab. I love to help everyone else out. Lori, who took over for her late husband, Kirk White, she's been so good to me, and she brings me out there. I help her with her shows, her graphics, and just try to really make her show. It's a great show. It's just a matter of fine-tuning these little pieces, right? And luckily, I think I'm okay at that. So I try to help out as much as I can, and at the same time, it's a give and take. So I'm excited to announce that match. I was really looking for something for Bravo to do as well because he's a hometown guy. And Aaron Solo is like one of my best friends, so he was going to come anyway. So it was like, well, if you're going to come, bring your title, and we could, do this match. So yeah, exclusive for the Tapped Out. What is Tapped In? Is that what we're doing right now? It's Tapped In.
Yeah, this is the indie show, so we need to tap.
Okay, yeah. So we're tapped in,
Yeah, we're good. Yeah,
but it's an exclusive for you guys, and like I said, we'll get that graphic out as soon as we can. So Carly, I know he's dying to start sharing it. So we'll get it out there, and that's another one. So I think is that all the matches, right? I would think so. And then obviously, the steel cage match. There might be one more. I don't know. I have to look at the card. But I think we have about,
you said
what do we got,
possibly
6?
the Battle Royal. You said possibly the Battle Royal when you add that. And so,
if
you.
I think we have 7 on the card. So it's like female title, the women's title.
Yeah, I've got 6 that we went through. Plus you added the one you just mentioned, 7.
7 is
Battle
right.
Royal will be 8.
Yeah. Battle Royal, I think we're going to do the Battle Royal beforehand. And then maybe one more to test out the camera. I mean, we have a large production for this event. which we never really have done besides the turnbuckle taping. You know what I mean? So it's like we're giving it a shot. So I definitely want to make sure that cameras are working, lights are working. So that's where those pre-show matches come in very handy. And you get to reward some people that show up early and help out and do their part. I will say this about the VIP thing. What's cool is like one, they get to meet obviously myself, Billy, Glacier Ray Lloyd, or no, myself, Glacier Ray Lloyd, Tony Schiavone, Harley Cameron in the frat house. That is something that came with, like, I think the first 2 rows, maybe. I forget how many there were, but you can also add it on. So we've seen a major uptick in just the add-ons. So I'm excited because they come in an hour early. It's only exclusive to them. So it is pretty cool. They have their own exclusive summer stage poster with those talents on there. They get a photo op. So try to make it as special as possible. We also had somebody from Charity Buzz that donated, and they auctioned off 2 floor seats. And they'll come in early and get to meet. It's me, MJF, and Harley. So we just try to do as much as we possibly can to, make the experience, because wrestling is wrestling. You're always going to have wrestling, but like make it more, right? Make it an experience that people can't forget. And then they're always willing to support.
One of my biggest saying is wrestling is not matches, it's moments. And if you can create that memory, that moment that these people don't forget, obviously, like I said, 1fwlive.com. Like you said, if you've already got your tickets, don't forget you can do that add-on. That's a big one. But also through Ticketmaster, and there's the MJF experience. Let's talk about that, and then I want to come back to the main, believe it or not. The MJF experience, photo op, signed 8x10, the meet and greet, all the stuff, but it's a separate ticket. I'm going to let you clarify how all of that works. So
Yes. So Max, as good of a friend of mine as he is, he wants to make his money. And he told me, I'm willing to come there, fly me in first class, put me in a nice hotel, and I could do my own meet and greet, and I keep all my money. I said, well, what do I get out of it? He said, well, you get to put my face on a poster. Okay, I'll take it. Good deal, So yeah, and that's something I think it's done through Simple Tix. I don't think we had to go through Ticketmaster for that, which is good because I think they get their fees and stuff. But yeah, I mean, we've had a pretty decent amount of people, purchase the MJF meet and greet. We have an exclusive summer stage 8x10. But also, I mean, if it's something that you want to get signed, I'm sure he'll do whatever needs to be done. He's a man of the people as much as he's probably not going to be when you actually meet him, right? People pay him to be mean to him. It's wild, I'd like that job. That would be fun. So I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited for it. I know some of the other guys will be selling their merch during the show on the concourse or however it's set up. But so yeah, excited for it. MJF, there's not a lot of places can get MJF to their show. So I was very happy that he was willing to help out and give back. And at the same time, I don't receive, besides Tony himself, when it comes to work, I think Max is the most amount of calls and text messages I get about work. So I definitely put my time and effort into, I really don't know if the trade-off is equal yet. I might have to run another event and have him there as well to really try to balance it out. But we're excited. I think he's excited for it. It's the same day Happy Gilmore 2 comes out. So he'll probably just want to get in the ring and talk about that. We will do an in-ring, promo with MJF. So this way, if you didn't buy a exclusive meet and greet with him, you could still get to see him. He will be in the ring doing some stuff.
He'll trash the crowd as a whole versus individually.
He'll address the crowd as a whole. I will forewarn, I don't know what he'll say. I apologize in advance. We try to keep the shows very family friendly, but he's also MJF and he's rich. He's been rich since he's a child. So I don't really think there's much that we can do to him. So I do apologize in advance, but it should be a great time.
Well, look, that's one of the big selling points of the show. The show is phenomenal. But the MJF experience, kind of an add-on, make sure you're getting that again. I'm sure all of those links are at 1fwlive.com. You can go there, get your tickets, get your VIP experiences, the MJF experience, and all of that. I'm going to circle back last stuff because I do want to end with the 2 young men. I just think I'm really big on this being your main event. The people that put the work. I think it says a lot, too, for all the kids that are getting the opportunities to work this show. I know there's a question that I want to save for that later, but Booker and Drago. like these kids aren't here long, right? I just want to clear, like I mean, clearly neither one of these guys are going to be in Georgia. Like they're not these lifelong Georgia guys.
Right. Well, I mean, we hope not, and that's not just them, right? We hope none of these guys are here
Correct.
forever. I mean, and if they are, great. Hey, we'll let them wrestle as long as they want. Um, but at the same time, obviously, the goal is to make it to the next level. And Brady and Elijah, they've been, they've tiptoed into AEW a little bit and Ring of Honor and stuff, and they have their own exclusive deals with AEW that they kind of it's like a training kind of deal that they have. I don't really know the ins and outs. I just know that they can focus on wrestling and going to the gym and doing everything that comes along with being a professional. So they have it a little bit better, but also they've earned it. You know what I mean? It's not like they don't go out there and wrestle their and also what they look like. I mean, there's just so many things that they check a lot of boxes, right? And that's the biggest thing in wrestling. I always tell everybody, like, the more boxes you can check, the less chance you have of somebody saying no. Um, and that's it, right? And I think they've been really good at holding the fort down and being the main events of all these shows. So it only made sense to make them the main event, but also add that stipulation. And I just always thought steel cage matches always just help sell tickets, right? Like, it's just a cool thing to have. So we were talked to the venue, we were able to do it, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I think we have a special thanks to CCW for they're going to drive up with one of their steel cages. So want to thank them again, collabing, right? That's all it's about. And we'll get that set up right before the match, and then hopefully they bring the house down.
Relationships are a good thing, right? The collabs, like
Yeah,
you said. I mean, partnerships and relationships. Let's get into some of the questions, and we'll probably zigzag all over the place in this. Some of them we've kind of probably answered, just we'll go through them. Jared from Cartersville wanted to know why center stage. Like, was that always just like a venue that had the history, the vibe, or something else that made you just like it's got to be center stage?
Yeah, I mean, more than anything, the history behind it, but also it's a cool venue. It just looks cool. Like, I mean, it's obviously good enough for Great American Bash. You know what I mean? So it's like they run it. I remember loving it when I went to Ring of Honor and I worked there. Plus the history, and obviously, like I said, Schiavone not being there for 30 years and getting him to come out of center stage retirement, and it's just a cool venue. And there really isn't that many venues in Georgia that are like that are affordable, right? I mean, it's still a decent penny, but it's not over the top. It's not like trying to run where AEW ran in College Park or Athens, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Which, hey, you never say never. We just partnered with the Rock Lobster, so you never know if one fall is going to end up where AEW ran. So yeah, to answer the question, it's a cool venue. It's historic. It looks great when you film it. Um, yeah, so that's why we did it. And again, some of the talent that we have, hopefully they all succeed, but the chances are that not everyone will. That's just the way it works. Unfortunately, wrestling is not fair. It is a luck of the draw, like the casino gauntlet. It is be right place, right time, and all your ducks are in a row. You just never know, right? There's no such thing in wrestling as hitting a home run every time, because the home run is up to the person that's paying you. You might think it's a home run, they might not. So to be able to give this back to them and let them see that they could perform at a venue like this, hopefully it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to scare the crap out of them and they're never going to want to wrestle again, which is okay, because, hey, then you're not cut out for this, or it's going to motivate them more than anything to, check as many boxes as they can and hope that their number is called and they do get that opportunity. So I think it's a win-win. And like I said, it's a culmination of all their hard work. And I just thought, on top of that, it's centralized. Like you said, trying to pull people from Duluth, Watkinsville, Stone Mountain, McDonough, wherever we run is like, okay, well, where's a centralized place that maybe does wrestling and we can probably get people to go to? So it kind of worked out, and especially WWE running there 2 weeks before us, I think helped out as well, because those fans are the same fans that look at an MJF poster, like, oh man, MJF's going to be here. Oh, I could just scan my QR code right now and buy a ticket. Boom, done. Oh, and it's only $25 compared to Great American Bash, which might be 400. if you can afford the 400 Great American Bash ticket, you could definitely afford the $30, one
Yeah.
fall ticket. So, yeah, so it worked out for us. I mean, counter program all you want, help me out. So we're excited for it.
Hey, just promote while they're there, right? That's what the
That's it.
flyers are
Yeah.
for. Look, Turnbuckle Telegram over on X asked the question: what's the most exciting and most difficult part of putting this whole event on so far?
I think the exciting part is seeing the fanfare and seeing, the hype and the buzz around it. And there's not many, I mean, who runs center stage, right? You got MLW, you got GCW ran it once. Um, Ring of Honor used to run it. TNA, I think, what's it, Fourth Rope or whatever it is, right? But
Yeah,
that's kind of a TNA production, because I know, because they rent the ring from me. But it's like, not many independent companies are running that venue. So it takes a couple of people by surprise, but it also is like, oh, wow, look at this. This is cool, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's the very exciting part. The challenging parts are getting everything in order, right? Because I've never ran a venue like this, and I didn't want to ask the people at AEW for help. So I've been doing a lot of this with Scott and honestly, I kind of took the ball on this one. So it's like Scott's asking me all these questions. What about parking? What about? I'm like, oh, dude, I got to ask this question. I got to ask this question. And then getting the production involved and the lights and the cameras and the jib cameras and all this stuff it's finally all coming together. So that was the challenging part. But other than that, at the end of the day, it's what we do. We wrestle. We go out there, we put on a show, and we go home. So that I was never worried about. It was more or less, hey, what are all the logistics of running a building like this, and how do we make it work, and so on and so forth. And then again, the challenging part of going to bed every night wondering if people are going to buy tickets. Like Wayne stock. You know what I mean? Like, if are the people going to come?
yeah.
Uh,
That's the worst. Look, we've only
that is
done
the
one
worst.
event. I put on one event on it. I was like,
Yeah.
please just buy enough tickets so I'm not losing, like a ton of money.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and that's what we talked about earlier. Was like, with Scott was, hey, let's, instead of like, once we reinvest in the company and do all these other things, let's put some money aside to make sure that the day of the show we're not worried about the draw, right? Because then it gets crazy. So if we got everything paid for up front, hey, whatever. People show up, they show up. If they don't, we got enough students to put them ringside and we can make it work. But fortunately, we've sold some tickets, so it's okay.
Perfect. You touched on this question earlier, but I want to kind of come back to it to make Sean from Gainesville ask, how important was it for you to kind of keep this like a rooted, because it does still feel like a Georgia, indie event, even though you've got some names, some big guys coming in. How important was it to still kind of, did you want it to still feel like an indie event?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think ideally, right? Like, with the exception of the match I just announced, obviously Jay Lethal, right? That's somebody that I've been friends with him since Ring of Honor in 2011. But besides the frat house versus who are my students, right? And us on the other side, it's a lot of just independent wrestling talent. You know what I mean? Like, I look at the Renegades and say they're independent wrestlers. They're not on TV every week, and they're not big stars like yet. Hopefully, um, so it was really more about, again, spotlighting these independent talents, but also there has to be a hook, and that hook is bringing in some of those favors from AEW and Ring of Honor and so on and so forth. But I didn't want them to wrestle, obviously, because God forbid they get hurt, one. And two, like, there are some rules when you book AEW talent, like you can't put them against each other. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I'd rather just stay away from, because it's just not, and again, it's to spotlight the talent that have been working every week. Like, I've had a lot of talent reach out and ask about center stage. And I'm just like, yeah, that's not what this is about. Like, this is about the people that work every weekend, that are there at 3 o'clock, setting up the ring, setting up the screen, setting up all the chairs, and breaking down the ring and loading the trailer and doing all this stuff. That's who it's for. It's not for, let me fly in X or Y. You know what I mean? That's not what it's about. It's to reward them, because at the end of the day, I feel that if we reward them, then look at what they've done already and help build this brand. They're only going to work harder. You know what I mean? Like, they're only going to work harder, and I don't know if they can work harder than they already are, but if they can, this is a great way to try to get it out of them. And the talent that aren't on the show in a main spot, good. I hope they understand that's how wrestling works. And unfortunately, there's not a spot for everyone. And, a main spot, let's put it that way,
Right.
right? And then that happens in all the shows, right? I mean, WrestleMania, you used to have the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and
Hmm.
those guys walked out there pre-show, and I'm sure they were unhappy about it. They wanted to be in the main events, but listen, there's only so many main event spots. Got to earn it. I'm not in the main event. I'm funding the show. You know what I mean? And it was like I could do anything on this show because I run the event with Scott. What am I going to do? All right, I'll put myself in an 8-man tag match. You know what I mean? And get a little bit of the taste of it. And, but again, I've had a decent amount of success in wrestling, enough that I feel I'm okay with that. And like I said, I just can't wait to see how they are when they're out there in front of that crowd and stuff like that.
It's a huge opportunity, like I said. This and look, you talked about it a little bit earlier when you brought up the fact that you'd love for everyone to go on and be signed and
Sure.
wrestle at, all ins, double or nothings, WrestleMania,
Yeah.
whatever. But some guys, the reality of it is because timing's everything in wrestling, right?
Sure.
There are some guys. This is it. Like this, like
And
hey,
and
I got
and
to wrestle at center stage.
I'll take it a step further. It's most guys, unfortunately, and I wish it
Correct.
wasn't, but it's most guys. I mean, I remember signing a contract in Ring of Honor, and I know the money wasn't like what I would have liked, but just thinking about it at that time with FCW or NXT, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, I was like one of 600 people in the world that was contracted to a wrestling company. Like when you really look back and take a a step back and look at it, that's pretty insane. You know what I mean to think about. So it's like how many independent wrestlers there are in the world that are just all chomping at the bit to get an opportunity to get to wrestle in front of a large crowd like this. And something I've told these kids from the beginning, like, hey, this is the bus that we're in. This is where we're headed. You want to be a part of this, great. If you don't at any time, just let us know. Hit that little button. We stop the bus. You get out. It's okay. I'm not mad at anyone. I want them to go succeed. I want them to go out there and wrestle for other people as well. Um, a lot of them don't want to because one, it's closer to their house. Two, they get rewarded. And three, like they're treated the right way. They're put in good opportunities, in good spots on the shows. And I just think we have a great little roster that, again, they work hard and our fans are really into them. So, of course, if there's other people that come in, like I think we had some of Seth Rollins' students there yesterday in Watkinsville, and we used them on the pre show. Like, hey, the more the merrier, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we got to invest in the people that invest in us. That's just the way it works.
Um, Isaac kind of goes a little bit of a different direction when he asks this question. It's all about the talent, the guys that have paid it, whatever. But was a key component of putting the show on getting Tony Schiavone, MJF, and those guys to kind of come on? Like, was that part of something that kind of pushed you over the edge of like, hey, and I'm going to add this part to your question
Yeah.
there, Isaac, or was that just kind of like, hey, this is icing on the cake we can give to our fans?
So I had brought it up to MJF a while ago. I said, "Hey, I want to do this thing, and obviously we have this venue down in McDonough that I own, and it's just empty, right? Because the school kind of moved, and it's just an empty venue. So I had an idea of doing a convention there, and I thought, hey, maybe we'll just do a convention. We can do an autograph signing, run a show at night, so on and so forth. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, he was the only person that committed. Now I knew deep down that I had a Rolodex full of people that would probably be willing to help out, and. So, but it was more about, hey, let's just pay the deposit. Let's just get it on paper and then we'll figure it out. Right? We'll figure it out. What's the worst that's going to happen? I mean, as big of a star as MJF is and Harley and Shivani, I mean, we have Billy all the time, who lives right down the street from me. So we would have been, I feel like we would have done okay regardless. And that's not a knock on anybody that is helping out. It's just a matter of we're in front of these crowds every week. So it was just drawing them in. And then, of course, you get a couple casuals that buy tickets as well. So again, it was never just about that. But yeah, it does help. I mean, it was more like the icing on the cake. It was like, hey, Shivani, I got this thing going on. I know you haven't been at center stage in such a long time. Would you be willing to X? Sure, I'd love to come by. Can I bring my grandkid? Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? It was like cool, and we kind of worked it all out, and luckily there was no AEW show that day, and no one has to travel. You know what I mean? We could all travel in the morning to Chicago, so it all worked out. But yeah, the show was going to happen either way. It was just hey, Is there more incentives? And again, like I said, I under promise and over deliver. Not gonna let everything out, but I'm sure there's gonna be some surprises. There always is. You know what I mean? Like that's the good part about who we are. Is like I mean, if we can do it, why not? And I'm like I said, I'm a firm believer in I don't want to advertise stuff because then it takes the shock value out of it. It's like, I got to go to this show. They were there last year, and this guy showed up, and this
Yeah.
girl showed up. It was crazy. They were only supposed to do a meet and greet, and so you just never know. And so we're really big on that as well. So, yeah, I mean, again, can't be more excited.
And again, if you want to get that icing on the cake, 1fwlive.com, get your tickets to the event and get the VIP and the add-on for the MJF experience. Next question I had is, look, I got another. There's one more, but this one I just had to ask because I got this one probably 37 times. You
Okay.
kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'm going to give the first one I got was Gavin from Peachtree City. Is Summer Stage a one-time deal, or are you already thinking about making this like an annual tradition?
I mean, yeah. I think it has to be right. I don't think it could be one of those just one-time deals, especially with the amount of support that we've gotten from the talent, but also the fans. I think to be able to. It's only the way I talk when I talked to Scott about it was like we're only going to grow. I can't imagine we're going to get less fans. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like that would be crazy. It could happen. Don't get me wrong. We could turn some people off, and they might never want to watch us wrestle again. I don't think that'll happen. I think we put on a quality event with quality looking talent and quality wrestling and quality production and just a great atmosphere that people want to come back and support us. So I'm hoping that this is the first of many. Summer Stage 2, Summer Stage 3. Who knows? I don't ever want to stop, performing or promoting. So I think it could be something that happens every year. The goal would be to run these bigger events, a couple times a year. You know what I mean? But I think Summer Stage could be the main show, the all in, as you say, the big summer one. And everyone's out of school. We'll see. They say everyone goes on vacation in the summer, so I don't know. Again, I'm a New Jersey guy, so I'm still learning all the ins and outs of Georgia.
Yeah, some people try to argue that the summer's a slow season, but yet two of the larger promotions in the state of Georgia run one of their biggest events during the summer. So
Yeah.
I
I was
think
gonna
that kind of
say,
contradicts that statement.
right.
So you've mentioned Cody going all in and kind of the things it led to, and this other stuff, and it kind of leads me to ask you a question. Nick from Houston wants to know what's going on with these TV tapings we keep hearing
Sure.
about.
Yeah. So of course, we did the turnbuckle pilot last year, right? Early 2024. We shopped it around a little bit. I think the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the formula is there, right? There's content that people want. It's just finding out where to land it, what it looks like, what it is. I'm a firm believer in getting people to understand who the talent are outside of the ring a little bit. My favorite shows are these, America's Got Talents and The Voices and all these shows where you can learn about the talent before they perform. We did that with the Turnbuckle pilot. So I think we're going to try to do a lot of that. We'll have some matches. Obviously, we run so many shows. I'm not sure if a lot of those venues are venues that we want to, put that content out there, right? Like a lot of people, hey, they film on their own. They tag us on Instagram. Great, we can share their stuff. I am not a firm believer in putting that out there as like, hey, this is our show. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
not the
now,
produced product.
that's not our
Yeah,
produced product. These are live shows. You never know what's going to happen. It's for the talent to get as many reps as possible. But when it comes to production, I think it has to look a certain way. It has to feel a certain way. It has to be something that an advertiser. Sorry, my phone's going off, but it's just spam. Sorry. Okay. Hang on. You got me or no? Okay, we're
you're
back.
good.
Sorry. I think when you're thinking about a production, it has to be something advertisers could look at and say, "Hey, we're willing to help. We're willing to invest. We see what you're doing here." And just running a show at a brewery, which I love our partners at the breweries. Don't get me wrong, and I think they love the idea of having wrestling there because they're our fan base is going to drink their beer, right? So it's a great partnerships we have with all these places, the Moose Lodges, the VFW halls, the American Legions, all these places. But when it comes to actually producing a television product to drive more business to these live events, I think it has to look a certain way. Dylan, Gary over at Southern Honor, they're giving us the opportunity. I know they just announced that their building will no longer be around in October or something like that. We're going to try one there. In the process, while that's happening, we are in the process of building the venue in McDonough, where we're going to build a full-time studio, which maybe we can rent to other wrestling companies as well. Who knows, but it'll be our little arena that we will probably host monthly TV tapings there, just so that way we can, again, get these characters out there, get these guys to learn, these girls to learn TV, right? So they are ready for when that opportunity does come. And um, so that's where we're at. Where it lands, there's so many different options. The one thing I don't want to do is just do everything on our own. I think there's just too many relationships and networks that I have in my Rolodex to make it bigger than the One Fall YouTube page. You know what I mean? And I think there's collabs that we can do, and there's ways to really make it larger than what it could, or as large as it should be. Let's put it that way, because I do feel like once you start, if you don't maintain that, that is where it's the reason why we never did more turnbuckle stuff, was like, well, I'm trying to figure out how to build all this stuff and make it all work. In the meantime, let's just start running shows. And then we could revisit it. And the same thing with One Fall was like, well, what are we going to do about relax? Let's get our brand out there. And I think the first set of tapings, obviously August 7th, but really the first set of tapings is Friday, because that is, if you're going to produce a TV show, that's the pilot that you want people to see.
Right.
Hey, yeah, we run this show and da 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 da, and here's the characters that we have, and so on and so forth. I think probably get almost a full month's worth out of the one event, and that would be the goal, right? So that's kind of where we're going. Hey, whether it happens or not, who knows? We try not to, talk too much, and we try to just work. But if somebody asks, we're not going to lie either, But yeah, the goal is to have a weekly television show that drives people to the live shows, so they know the characters. They can say, "Oh man, I did okay every Friday at this, first Friday here, second Friday here," and kind of like the old school, I guess, WWF model, right? It was like drive the house show business, with the TV product. So,
I
um,
jokingly call it the Memphis model.
yeah, Memphis,
Back
yeah. I mean, it's wrestling, right? That's what it is. It's like, and if you keep the people entertained, like they're gonna support. And I mean, like, hey, the idea that we draw what we draw pretty, regularly, especially like Watkinsville, we run there twice a month. One time on Monday, some on a Friday, and it's like they just love wrestling. So it's great for us, and it's great for the kids. They get to go out there and perform. And I used to wrestle in front of empty chairs. You know what I mean? So it's like to be able to go out there. I think last night it was like standing room. We ran out of room. It was like we got
they keep
so
running out of chairs every time I'm at
run out of
Watkinsville. So
chairs. I mean, and then I asked Scott, hey, can we just buy more? She's like, no, we got to figure out how to move some stuff around and try to. So I'm like, all right, we'll make it work, But I like that vibe. People standing, people having a good time, drinking, no one's acting crazy. I love it.
it's one of the reasons I kind of tell everybody, man, 1FWLive.com, that's completely tell you to follow you on social media, on 1FW, specifically on the Facebook, all the events kind of go there, but that'll lead you to that 1FWLive.com to buy those tickets in advance, because I know the Gainesville show completely, they were turning people away at the
Yeah, it's
door at the
crazy.
Gainesville show. The
Yeah, I think I was in
Watkinsville show,
Texas, and I was
yeah,
in Texas. I got a call from Scott, like, yeah, we ran out. The fire marshal came. I was like, that's great. That's a good thing.
yeah, and so it's such a hot ticket that I do tell people to buy them in advance, and it's one of the rare promotions that I go to that I see a lot of people coming through the door with the tickets on their phone, like, "Hey, we bought our
Yeah,
ticket. Hey, we bought our ticket." And I said, "Well, you have to, because they go obviously so rapidly." But the big one we're talking about, you got to get at 1FWLive.com, of course, is this Friday in the center stage. I'm going to get it right this time. 5:30 VIP, 6:30 opens to the
yep,
public, 7:30 is bell time. Uh, 8 matches now, roughly, because if you throw the Battle Royal in there, you're going
sure,
to have Glacier there, friend of the show. We love Glacier.
yeah,
He's a great guy. MJF experience. Obviously, you got the meet and greet with the Frat House, yourself, Harley Cameron and Tony Schiavone. Of course, if you're an old guy like me, you got to go down and see Tony Schiavone at the
Yeah.
center stage. I mean, how cool would it be just to get a picture with Tony Schiavone in the center stage? Like, that's just
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, to find out that he hadn't been there in 31 years, I was like, oh, we got to do this. Like, you have to. You know what I mean? He was excited for it. I was like, this is great. You could interview somebody and we can make it all, And of course, again, Brandon Benefield, who's always at our shows. Diana does our ring announcing. Obviously we have Dasha coming, who's a very close friend of mine from AEW and stuff, and she's done as she's done TV, right? So like the last thing you want to do is throw someone out there if they've never done it, and especially in that kind of high pressure situation. But at the same time, I remember talking to Diana the other day, like, hey, would you like to do the pre-show? Like, we want to give back, and you help us out. You work for us. It's again rewarding you as well, but at the same time, there's a business to run, and there's a way we have to do things, and it's same thing with Brandon. Like, hey, Brandon, we might not have commentary live. We might do something later. But if you want to come MC like you kind of do other shows, great. Like, I don't want anyone to be like, hey, I missed out. I wasn't able to, because that's how you ruin relationships with people. You just never know who you're going to, try to rely on or who rely on you and so on and so forth. So I always tell everybody, like, always think big picture. You know what I mean? Like, always think what could be and, and play the long game, because the short game will only get you so far. But the long game gets you a lot further.
I will
If
say
I would have charged, hey, let's put it this way: if I would have charged Brandy Rhodes to come train with me, I'd probably be teaching wrestling at Norcross. Making $500 a week. You know what I mean? Like, I
right.
just, and I remember thinking, do I charge them? And then thinking, like, no, I'm not going to charge them. Let them come and hang out and whatever, and we'll figure it out. Now that was way before AEW was even a thought. So again, I don't even know what the long game was at that point, but I knew what the short game was, and it wasn't worth it.
Yeah. It's one of the highlights. One of the things I do talk about a lot with One Fall. It's probably one of the most unselfish locker rooms that you're ever going to see. It's like guys are like, okay, all right, whatever. Like, whatever they're asked to do, nobody throws a thing. It's whatever, and it's cool to see you rewarding them with this.
We don't have time for that. You know what I mean? This ain't that serious. This is independent wrestling. It's literally practice for the big game. And hopefully you get in the big game. But if you're there and you think this is the be all end all, we don't want you around, because it's just not worth it. It's too much drama and headaches. And at the end of the day, nobody's getting rich off of it. You know what I mean? So it's like, if we're not getting rich off of it, there's no way I'm going to get stressed out over it. So when I see people getting upset about what they're going to do, or they roll their eyes, it's like, okay, right away, we're going to have a talk at the end of the show. And I just need to let them know, like, this is not what this is about. And, figure out a way to make yourself undeniable then. If you want to be the main event, you want to win the world, there's a way to do it. Maybe the way you're doing it isn't the way. So figure it out, And as much as we say wrestling is unfair, it is very fair at the same time. The people that work hard, that are good people, that put the time and effort in, that treat people the right way, they usually get rewarded in the end. Sometimes it just takes a really long time. I was 18 years in before I caught a real break. And the first break I had at Ring of Honor, I wasn't ready for it. I didn't understand it, and I didn't understand what was in front of me. And I thought, look at the money they're giving me, or the lack of money. I was like, maybe it's opportunity, and I hate saying you're getting paid with opportunity. But at the same time, that unfortunately, unless you're in one of the major companies, that's what you're getting paid with.
Absolutely.
There's no money when I do it like this. It's just the money doesn't just pour out. So, unless you want to sell tickets and put your name on each ticket and get a cut of the ticket, hey, we could do that too. But at the end of the day, like, no one's making good money on this. It's practice. It's fun. And again, it's just hoping that one day your number does get called and you're in the right place at the right time.
Well, the right place and the right time is this Friday, of course.
Oh, I was just going to say that. I was going to say the exact same thing.
Center stage.
What a segue.
The summer stage. Again, 1FWLive.com. Get your tickets. Look, it's one of the things we've been, literally since it was announced. I argued it was like, hey, it's the biggest show of the summer, specifically in Georgia indie wrestling, Georgia wrestling period for that matter. So we're excited. We're going to be there as well. Like, I can't wait to see everything that, just goes down. Looks like a loaded card again. So again, make sure, don't just get your tickets. Also get the VIP add-ons. Go in there, get your MJF experience. If you're going to do this thing, do it right. Go all out, get everything, or should I say, go all in and get everything.
Yeah,
And
and
all the packages.
I was gonna say I'm gonna butcher some names here, but Antoinette with Alkaya Productions is our production partner. I'm sure I butchered that, so I'm gonna say Antoinette because she's been great. LED Atlanta, LED ATL, they're gonna do our lights and all that other stuff. We have our own screen, but they've been great as well. Car Shield is another big sponsor that we were able to land with through Dave Marquez, who he'll be there as well, helping direct and produce. And then of course Dalton Carpet One, right? They are our main sponsor. Diamond Chic, Lux Jewelers, another sponsor that has helped out. So again, a lot of collaborations to make this thing happen, to make it as big as it possibly can be. So I do want to thank them as well. Their branding will be out there, so you'll see it, and hopefully that helps their businesses as well. But again, that's one hand washes the other. So we're excited again. Hope to see everyone there this Friday. Get your tickets. If you have your tickets, great. Thank you very much. It is very appreciated. And again, just these guys and girls are going to go out there and they're going to wrestle their hearts out. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'll be wrestling as well with Billy and and Austin and Colton. So it'll be a lot of fun. Maybe not Colton. We'll see. But
well, look, it's going to be a lot of fun. Cannot wait to see you, them, and everybody else down there. So make sure you get your tickets and you come on down this Friday to Center Stage, to Summer Stage, and maybe, just maybe, we'll see you at the matches.